Cash is pretty fired up and has been so on Truth Social for a few days. Cash, good morning. Welcome.
What's up, Cash?
Hey, good morning, y'all. Welcome.
I'm going to put up on the screen here. This is from Just the News. House Judiciary Committee last week opened a formal investigation into why the FBI snooped on two Republican House Intel Committee staffers during the height of Russia collusion. You know a lot about that, suggesting the seizure of their private email and records may have been retaliation for the Intel panel's efforts to expose FBI misconduct. You have the floor, sir. What's going on here?
Listen, I wish I didn't have the floor. Look, I was that guy. I was the head of the Russiagate investigation for then Chairman Nunes, and Rod Rosenstein and Chris Wray not only, I believe, unlawfully spied on us to get dirt on Chairman Nunes because we were exposing the corruption on the FBI and DOJ, but those two lied to us in a meeting in January of 18 in a skiff in the House Intelligence Committee basement. Those two individuals with us in the room threatened to subpoena and investigate us. The lie was they had already done it and sent a subpoena 2.5 months earlier in November of the prior year. And we didn't find out till Google informed us of a 5-year expiration policy they have that once that time period is over, they'll let the targets of the investigation know. DOJ and FBI haven't said anything. And as a former federal prosecutor, I can tell you Google's not the only one they send subpoenas to. You don't get a grand jury together to investigate people and target them and say, oh, we're just going to get their email stuff. They're going after bank records, phone records, every other telecommunication records we've had. And we found out about this. We pressed the House to act. We've been pressing for months, and they finally opened an investigation. But that's insufficient. Where are the subpoenas? What's with the niceties? We've caught these guys spying on senior congressional staffers. Do you remember when Brennan was caught doing the same thing? It was the biggest story of the year, as it should be. Where is the chorus? Where is the riots, so to speak, not in actual form, but in people's minds about, hey, what the heck is going on? We were doing constitutional oversight, and now you're attacking our staffers?
Crazy.
So what do you expect to happen now? How are you going to move forward in terms of fighting back against this? And I suspect you have an expectation that Congress acts in some way.
Yeah, well, I've been working with my lawyers, and we may have an announcement in a week or so. And, of course, I'll come on American Sunrise and break that news with you guys here, because I don't think they should be able to get away with this conduct, they being Comey, McCabe, Wray, Priestap, all these guys. But I'm going to continue to press Congress as I have to say, okay, well, you've taken step one. I appreciate that. But what happens now is subpoenas for Rosenstein and Wray to appear before Congress and explain to them why they lied to the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, why they lied to the American public, and why they unjustifiably investigated not just me. Let's find out who else was there, because I wasn't the only target. We know of at least one other staffer, and I'm willing to bet you it's many more people. Did they go and get congressional records? That's the next question. Was Paul Ryan in on it with them? We need subpoenas out the door immediately on document production from FBI and DOJ on who authorized this, because as a former federal prosecutor, I know the answer. Only the Attorney General's office and the director of the FBI can authorize surveillance and investigations of Congress.
From journalists, you guys there, you experience that, Cash, but also journalists, incoming administrations, and we keep hearing that word out of retaliation. We've got this committee set up in Congress, where they're investigating the weaponization of these governmental agencies. But as you say, it's been their job, I think, until this far has really been exposing, and that's important. The onus shouldn't be all on you, shouldn't be all on Devin Nunes to expose what was going on. So we do have these committees exposing some of this stuff. But to your point, we haven't seen subpoenas yet. We haven't seen any real action. Are you confident we're going to get to that point?
Well, the one thing I have learned from running Russiagate is the way to get stuff done in Congress is to force the exposure of the corruption. And that's what we're trying to do. We're being a force function. I think it's gotten a lot of traction over the weekend since we launched it. And the other thing I just put up on Truth Social are things we have to get Congress to do are the receipts. We actually put up the paperwork behind this thing and the referrals to Dan Goldman, referring him to DOJ for criminal conduct. You have to take these matters into your hands, because I don't believe Congress will act unless they are forced to by the American public. And that's what we're doing here. So we hope to generate a big chorus. And if not, I'm going to keep talking about it on national media, and I'm going to keep taking the next steps we need to get them there.
Cash, two-part question. I see people in our live chat on Getter saying, is McCarthy dragging his feet here too? You can answer that as I put this up, guys. A23 on a different matter. Secret Service declined to interview about 500 different suspects in the cocaine investigation. Colin Rugg had this tweet. Wonder why they're so uncurious as to about figuring out who was actually behind this. And a Secret Service spokesman said they declined conducting interviews because the interviews could infringe on individual civil rights, which I find particularly remarkable since you're talking about your civil rights being infringed and no one seems to care. But answer McCarthy, is he working hard enough? Because our audience is skeptical of him. And then what the heck happened as a former prosecutor, Secret Service just not interviewing all these people?
Look, Kevin had to have been the one to initiate this investigation, so it went through him. So I'm happy that he took this on. But I agree that he needs to be doing way more when it comes to these investigations, plural. We got to stop with the niceties in the letters. Look, we had Chris Wray in the hot seat last week, and not a single member of Congress, knowing these congressional investigations were going on, not a single member asked Christopher Wray what his justification was to snoop and spy on senior congressional staffers. Not one person. That's all they had to ask him. Instead, they wrote a letter the next day. A letter which he will ignore and do nothing about. So he has to empower Congress, Kevin McCarthy, with subpoena authority across the board and get them going. And he has to go one step further. He has to get these chairmen and women of these committees to take the money and use the appropriations process to suspend Chris Wray's private jet and Merrick Garland's boondoggles until these subpoenas are answered. Chris Wray is currently in violation of half a dozen congressional subpoenas for failing to produce documents. That's a crime, last I checked, per Merrick Garland's DOJ. Just ask Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. So where's the uniform system of justice there? And as to what we do next on the cocaine cowboy situation, look, the Secret Service, who I worked with daily for years, the line guys, every day, the line guys, they're the ones that would have investigated this. Someone from the top shut it down. Someone from the top actually has the audacity to come in and say, what are they, the ACLU? I mean, I wish I could use that defense when I was a public defender and it was defending narco traffickers. I wish I could have told the judge and the jury, oh, they can't see the 100 pounds of cocaine because it's a constitutional civil rights violation. I'm sorry about that. This is absurd, and people are, but more importantly, you don't have to be a lawyer. People are seeing it. First, the bag was found in the driveway. Then it was in the library. Then it was in the study. And then it was with Professor Plum upstairs in Biden's secret room. I mean, it's just ridiculous that they can't find it. Also, let me just remind everybody, the White House compound is a military base. It is the most secure facility on planet Earth, with the most cameras I've ever seen anywhere, with the most armed personnel I've ever seen anywhere, and they couldn't find the culprit. They didn't want to find him. That shows the American people the corruption going on in Biden's White House.